Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Lefty's Place. All right, I know, this is a long, well overdue video of Inter Miami. Let me get this scarf. I've got it all. Freedom to dream. I got the scarf, I got the hat. I was super hyped heading into this season for Inter Miami, the inaugural season for them. And I do not know why this is my first video talking about Inter Miami. Could be because I was like super hyped about the Heat, super hyped about the Marlins making it to the playoffs, and I've obviously been fans of theirs for way longer. But I am super hyped about Inter Miami and the project that they got going on here in Miami. Obviously right now they're in Fort Lauderdale, but I even had season tickets for them. But of course, with the whole COVID pandemic hitting and all the financial impact it's had, it just wasn't an option. So I had to take those back. But that is definitely in the cards. Hopefully in the future, probably for next season too. But in this video, I just want to talk over, just an overview of, just the team, who the key players are on the team, how the team has done so far in the season, and how they're looking for the future. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. All right, so first I want to talk about the players on Inter Miami and who I feel has made the biggest impacts in this season. You should know if you guys have watched these videos that I have a soccer podcast that I do a lot, and when I've talked about Inter Miami, I've said that Lewis Morgan has been our best player this season. He has just been an absolute animal for us. Let me see, where's he at here? The midfielder, 24 years old, Scotland midfielder. He usually plays more on the wings because we need that extra, attack out there because we don't really have a solid winger. But man, has he just been so great for us this season? Whenever he has the ball, I always feel like he has control of it, and he's always making the right decisions. Another really great player that's usually pegged as the star player for our team was Rodolfo Pizarro. Of course, coming in, the Mexican was our star player and was expected to be our number 10 and our best player. But the creativity is certainly there. He's got like nowhere near Neymar, but Neymar-esque like abilities with the ball. But he just doesn't make enough like forward plays and forward runs to really put him over Lewis Morgan right now. Obviously, the brand new signings of Blaise Matuidi and Gonzalo Higuain have been huge, and I'm sure people will start considering Higuain as our best player, but I still believe Lewis Morgan has by far been our best player. He's just exceeded expectations and has been scoring goals at an amazing rate for us, especially over the last couple games. I believe he's got like 3 goals in the last 4 games and is just absolutely killing it. Another big-time player, I talked about him pretty quickly, but Gonzalo Higuain being able to get that number 9, that was like the biggest issue with the team early on in the season. That we couldn't really get consistent goal production. We had Robbie Robinson, who we got in the super draft, number 1 overall pick. He's a good young prospect. We also have Julian Carranza, which was one of our first signings, and he kind of struggled a bit starting off the season. He did get 2 goals in a I believe it was a draw against Orlando City, if I'm not mistaken. Because I have been watching the games. I don't know why I haven't. You know what it probably is? It's because since I do my soccer podcast and I talk about them in the soccer podcast, I forget to do them on my actual YouTube channel. So that is going to be changing, especially with obviously the Heat season now being done. I'm going to be talking a lot more about this team. But yeah, you got Julian Carranza and then Matias Pellegrini, which is another one of our first ever signings. I just feel like they haven't had the impact that we were expecting from them, especially Pellegrini. I was expecting way more from him. And a few of those, like his touch with the ball sometimes is just so off, and it kind of drives me a little nuts when I'm watching him. But they still give you some good attack. But that is why we needed a guy like Gonzalo Higuain, who we got from Juventus, and he's going to be huge for us. This last game he had against, I believe it was, the New York Red Bulls, if I'm not mistaken. what was this? He had it was just an absolutely ridiculous goal that it was against the New York Red Bulls, where it was a free kick. It was tied 1-1, and he just absolutely rocketed it into the goal. It was an amazing goal. I was super impressed with it, and that's why you bring that kind of guy in, because he can do that. And of course, he just needs to get used to the competition in MLS. But he will eventually start putting in goals on a regular basis. I have no doubts about it, because everywhere he's gone, he's been successful. And he's one of the best strikers in the world. You know, I mean, obviously he's kind of fallen off a bit, and that's why he's kind of moved on to MLS. But still, he's still one of the best strikers, especially and easily probably the second best striker in the MLS right now. And I say right now because of the injured Joseph Martinez at Atlanta United. I still consider him a bit better than Higuain, but who knows? I mean, if Higuain gets comfortable here and he starts and it looks like he's really enjoying life in Inter Miami right now. So I have no doubt that he's going to be really putting it all together. And when I was talking about Luis Morgan, I mean, he has 5 goals for us, by far the most on the team. No other player has more than 2. And Pizarro is leading us in assists with 4. So he does, really well with playmaking, and he does make the right decisions. But like I said, Luis Morgan for sure has been our number 1 player this season. And, if you guys are new to soccer and you're new to like being a fan for Inter Miami, that's the guy you want to look out for, because he has been our number 1 player this season. Another guy that definitely needs to get a lot of credit has been Luis Robles. I mean, it sucks so bad that he got a fracture in his arm recently, so he's going to be out for I didn't see the timeline, but I'm sure he's going to be out for a few weeks, possibly even more than a month. And he has been huge. I mean, he's our captain and has been such a great calming presence between the sticks for us. I mean, there was a game where he saved 2 penalties. I forgot who it was against, but I mean, huge. He was, in my opinion, he should have been the man of the match for that game, because he was the reason we were able to get the draw in that game. And I mean, he's just been huge. I'm super happy with us being able to get him, and he's just gonna be. It's just gonna be even more important when we get him back. At the moment, in terms of where the Inter Miami is right now, we are 12th in the Eastern Conference. I mean, not good when you consider we have 14 teams in the Eastern Conference. And a lot of that has to do with the way we started off the season. We would get goals, and a lot of the time, I mean, we lost our first 5 MLS games, which is a record. The most losses to start off a franchise. It's a bad record to have, but at the same time, when you look at how we were losing those games, I mean, it was 2-1, 1-0, 3-2. It was losses like that we were really close. We just couldn't keep our composure and hold on to those leads that we had. And a lot of those games, we did have the lead. We'd be up 1-0, and then we'd give up 2 goals and lose 2-1. And it was tough to watch in the beginning. But, in the end, I knew, long term, it was just growing pains. You're bringing a brand new team together. It's not expected to you're not going to be like an Atlanta United. That's not realistic to just come out and just be one of the best teams in the MLS. It would have been nice, but it just doesn't happen that way. So, there was definitely a lot of growing pains heading into the season, and in the MLS back tournament, we didn't look that good. And to start phase 1, we kind of struggled a bit, but we have started to get really good results. We did lose 3 in a row, or 4 of 5 games before this 2-game winning streak that we're on now, which is the best, our first winning streak ever. Which you got to enjoy those little things. Now, and I haven't really talked much about the defense, but that's because I feel like that's where we've been very weak. We did get the one that I feel is our best defender, Jorge Figao. He's been great for us, as well as Leandro Gonzalez Pires. Really good defenders, and they have at least Pires. He has a lot of MLS experience. And Figao, you can play him in the fullback position as well as center back position, and his versatility has definitely been important for us. But the one that I'm very disappointed, I mean, even though he's very young, it's the Colombian Andres Reyes. There was this one game I watched where he made very, very dumb mistakes, like, very costly errors that cost us 2 goals against Orlando City, and it ended up losing us the game. And there's been a couple, times where he just hasn't made the right decisions when it comes down to it. And so he's definitely been the weakest link for us in that defense, and we're gonna need to shore that up. Of course, he's still only 21 years old, so he's just learning the game as it's going. But that's definitely been our biggest disappointment in the defense. Ben Sweat was one of the guys that we picked up in the expansion draft. I believe he was actually the first. Was he the first pick in the expansion draft? I'm not 100% sure on that, but he was one of the first picks for sure. And he's been solid. He's a really good left back. He gets you. He's got a really good cross. There's sometimes where he'll make some mistakes and doesn't have the like the aggressiveness on defense that you'd like. But overall, I feel like Ben Sweat's have a pretty solid season, and it's good for us there in the right back. Dylan Nialis, he's also been pretty solid in the other right back position. You also have Alvas Powell and AJ De La Garza. So they have a lot of depth there, but for the most part, I really like Breck Shea, my apologies. He has a lot of MLS experience, and specifically actually played for Orlando City recently, but he has been so great for us. I feel like he has such great composure with the ball on his feet, and just always makes the right decision. I literally never have anything wrong to say about Breck Shea. And I feel like he's just been huge. Same thing with Will Trapp, another guy that has a lot of MLS experience that we have at that defensive midfielder spot. He's been huge. And same thing with Victor Ulloa, but he hasn't been as consistent as Will Trapp. So we definitely have some great, some solid players. And then, of course, I spoke of, very briefly about him in the beginning of the show, but Blaise Matuidi. Getting a guy like Blaise Matuidi that has experience in like almost every league in the world, and has a very composed ability in that midfield to be able to play good defense, be able to get the ball past a few levels of the defense. It's just really great for our team, and I feel like that is just a huge pickup for us, and it's just going to go a long way as we continue this project. I did talk a bit about Rodolfo Pizarro. I feel like we can get a little bit more from him, especially considering he's one of our top signings. And, I definitely want to see more from him. But, he's been good and well advertised so far. And I feel like, this team overall has a very solid future ahead of them. Like, obviously we know all the talk about wanting to get guys like Messi and Ronaldo. But, of course, that's not really realistic right away. Maybe when they decide, we're done, over there in Europe and we want to come over, then we'll probably start seeing some of those guys come into our club. But right now, we have a pretty solid structure. Getting a guy like Higuain, Matuidi, you got Pizarro, Lewis Morgan, like I talked about, obviously. You have a good foundation, and that's all you really want to start, your team. You can't ask them to win the MLS Cup right off the bat. And for me, I am brand new to MLS. Because when they didn't have my team, for a little while I was thinking, okay, I might be a fan of Orlando City. Although I've heard that they have not had a good start in terms of their history. They haven't made the playoffs once. Although this season is surely to change that because they have been really good this year. But they're fourth in the Eastern Conference. So our rival, they're definitely our rivals. A couple of the games that we've had already have been pretty chippy. And I'm excited to get that rivalry, to see that rivalry for years to come. But Miami, even though, because this season they changed it up. Usually it's just the top 6 teams make it into the postseason. This year they made it 10, and like the last 4 would go into a playoff series. So we're 1 point behind Atlanta United for that number 1 spot. We're pretty much right behind Nashville as well, which is the other expansion team, and I feel like we have a good spot, especially the way we're playing. We're looking very solid, and our team just needs to shore up that defensive back line. And even though we've won the last 2 games without Luis Robles, I feel like we're going to need him back in order for us to really make it and do something big in the playoffs. But we're right there. I'm excited to see what we got, and we've got 6 points in our last 2 games. And I believe, what's our next game coming up? We got Atlanta United. Look at that. We got a big time game against Atlanta United coming up next. I mean, if we win that one, we're in the playoff series. Of course, we still got more games to go, and we need to make sure we get as many points as possible. We have Montreal Impact, Orlando City, FC Dallas, Toronto FC, and Cincinnati FC. So we have some games there that I believe we can win, like the Cincinnati game, FC Dallas. I feel like we can win. Montreal Impact and Toronto FC and Orlando City. Those are going to be some tough games, but overall, I feel like Inter Miami have a good chance of making the playoffs. We just need to continue to stay as a good team. Whenever they're getting to those situations where they're trying to get goals, try to keep that formation as tight as possible, because that's where these teams in the MLS really beat you. Like, to get those counterattacks and find open space, they love that, and so we need to shore that up. But overall, I've been really happy with finally having a team in Miami. For next season, they're going to actually have the stadium in Miami, and I'm for sure going to have season tickets for that year. No doubt about it. You guys I might do some live vlogs going into the stadium and just showing you guys how it is. So I'm super excited for that. So that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this first Inter Miami kind of introduction video. If you guys liked it, please hit that like button, and of course subscribe for any future Miami sports content. And I'll catch you guys next time.